All right, guys, here we go. Welcome to the Foreclosure Pros Tips series with none other than the co-host from the best coast. No, I'm just kidding. The co-host from the Northeast, Yasser Hatab, and I got my co-host as well, Mamadou Diallo.
Yep, Mr. Mamadou in the house, guys. You guys already know pre-foreclosures, acquisitions, actually all kind of I don't know at this point. We do everything, but
Do everything. I love it. I love it.
We're live from Atlanta. We're here.
Live from Atlanta, live from South Jersey, guys. So it's been a couple of sessions here. We've been really dropping some knowledge bombs on everyone, and we want to continue doing the different parts. One of the things that we talked about, like the last one, if you guys remember, we talked about Mamadou was doing a phenomenal job comping a property that he was looking at and that he was flipping. So after comping, though, it makes sense to start looking at what the different types of exit strategies. So today we're going to talk about the different types of exit strategies that work really well with pre-foreclosures. Okay, because before we talked about the entry, let's talk about the exit strategies now, right? So Mamadou, you want to start off with the different types of exit strategies? We'll take one at a time and then we'll break it down.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. So exit strategy is probably one of the most important things you can learn when it comes to doing deals. It doesn't matter if you're going to wholesale the property or you're going to keep it yourself. But the exit strategy is basically when you get this product, these properties, whether they need work or they don't need work, what an investor look at is what is the return on my investment. If I'm fix and flipping the property and I put into this property to renovate it $80,000, what is the profit on my $80,000? How much time am I going to spend in it? And then if I'm keeping it as a buy and hold, what I'm looking at is if I'm spending $100,000 into this deal, what is my cash flow? And based on my yearly cash flow, comparing it against the $100,000 that I spent, what is the return on my $100,000? So even you as a wholesaler, you have to put your head in the fix and flipper's head and the buy and hold investor's head. Even if you're not going to spend your money, you have to look at the deal as you were the person that is going to spend your money. And that's going to help you with the exit strategies. Now, the first thing we can do, Yasser, I think we can go through the lists of the exit strategies first that exist, maybe like 5 of them. We don't have to go because there's a lot of them. And then after that, we can pick like 2 of them, which the major ones, the most, and then tell you guys how an investor thinks when they look at this kind of deals and go from there.
I love it. Love it. Yeah. So, guys, this, I want to hit up on something that Mamadou said earlier. You want to be able to analyze these properties and then look at them based on the fact that you're going to buy them. Even if your intentions are to wholesale these properties, you still have to run it from the buyer's perspective. So put your buyer hat on instead of the wholesale. A lot of wholesalers get stuck in this rut of, oh, I'm a wholesaler. And then they give buyers like myself and Mamadou really crappy numbers, right? Yep. So if the deal works for you as an actual buyer, it'll work for another buyer as well. So if you're a wholesaler listening to this, keep that in mind. All right. If it works for you, it works for other people. So do unto others the way you want others to do unto you.
That's so good.
Was that. All right. So one of the main strategies, and we kind of touched on this on the last one, is fix and flip. Right. And obviously having done a lot of fix and flips between both of us, hundreds between both of us at this point, fix and flip, a lot of people get into this business thinking that fix and flip is the end all be all. However, sometimes it may actually be the best option based on the numbers. Right. So that's one of them. The other one is a rental, right? And it depends. And exit strategies, by the way, happen based on 2 things: the deal numbers themselves and your desires, your goals as an investor. Not all investors, and just like not all wholesalers, are built the same way.
Right.
Some investors are fix and flips investors. That's all they want to do. They want to be in the trenches, looking at the molded walls and all that stuff, and that's all they do. They don't even try to bother with putting any kind of rental property in front of them. But then you have other people who are just strictly buy and hold, which is the second strategy, buy and hold investors. And some even buy and hold investors are split up different ways, right, Mamadou?
Right, absolutely. So every investor is different, man. You have the people that are only focused on short-term money. That's really like quick turnaround. That's what the flips are. And then there is people that are focused more on like long-term money, meaning like tomorrow's money, right? That's the cash flow. Like I'm trying to build wealth. I'm getting that cash flow. I just let these properties appreciate and then have my tenants paid down. That's more of a long-term play. And for those that are experienced, actually, like me and Yasser and other type of investors, we do both. So we get today's money, and today's money. That's what wholesaling is too. Like you want today's money because mortgage got to be paid, rent got to be paid, your car got to be paid, right? But on the fix and flip though, you're just making maybe sometimes. Actually, no. Let me take that back because wholesaling, real estate, when you're really good at it, you make more profits than fix and flippers. Now, mind you, most real fix and flippers, that's all they do. True fix and flippers. The reason the fix and that's all they do is because that's all they know how to do. They don't know how to do anything else. They're afraid of toilet licks. That's one. Secondly, they don't know how to wholesale, meaning they don't know about marketing and sales because that's all wholesaling is. They don't know how to hunt these properties off market, reach out to the sellers, negotiate with the sellers, and that's where you step in. But you still have to be responsible. So if Yasser is my buyer, I have to be responsible enough to care about Yasser's money. So when I go out and market to find these opportunities and bring it on Yasser's plate, Yasser is my buyer that's going to buy my deal, and then I'll make a wholesale assignment. I don't just go and just lock up anything and bring it on Yasser's plate. No, I'm also looking out for Yasser. Yasser need to make a profit on each property that I bring him as a flipper. On average, each, maybe I don't know about New Jersey, Yasser, but on average is between 10 to 12% net of the sales price, right? The flippers are looking to make. So when I'm marketing to this deal, it doesn't matter if my wholesale fee is $100,000, as long as I make sure that the numbers in the back end, after Yasser spent all his money to renovate the house, pay his crew, pay the real estate commissions, pay the closing costs, he will still be left with 10 to 12% net profit of the sales price, and we'll break down exactly what that means.
Love it. And for those of you who are joining us, 2 sessions ago, go back 2 videos on the playlist, on the YouTube playlist. We talk about the 8 different types of entry fees that make up a deal, whether it's a buy and hold deal or a fix and flip deal. That's what Mamadou is referring to. And by the way, the term, if you're new to this, the term all in, that's what that means. It's all the entry fees, how much money you're all into the property, meaning that's sunk money that you have to get back plus your profit. Okay. So let's talk about the other part of it too. You have people who are hybrid people, right? Hybrid investors, meaning like Mamadou, right? We tailor our approach. Now we're open to doing multiple things at the same time. We're not solely fix and flip, solely rent and buy and hold, right? But we do it all based on the numbers, okay? And we have obviously the 2 fix and flips that really are broken down, because that's really what it comes down to: fix and flips, and then buy and hold. All right, are you going to hold the property, or are you going to flip it? Okay, there's really nothing in between, unless there's another new exit strategy out there that I don't know about.
No, is the buy and hold that have multiple layers to it.
Correct.
But is always either you're holding the property or you're flipping it, or you're gonna live in it.
Or you're gonna live in it. Yeah, exactly. But even these major categories have subcategories.
Yes.
For example, one of the categories, and we're gonna drop a new term for those of you who are brand new to this. You're gonna hear this term, and we could even go into the whole session about this. Most fix and flips happen with hard money. Okay. If you don't know what hard money is an institution, a bank or lender that gives you money to fix the property and a certain percentage of the purchase of that property. And you have to come up with the difference of that percentage. So for example, lately they've been they've been giving people 60 to 70% of the purchase price. Okay, you got to come up with that difference. Let's say they give you 70%, you got to come up with the difference of 30,000, of 30% of the purchase price. But they also give you 100% of the renovation costs. Now, there's a lot more that goes into it, but that's the traditional way. You have other ways where you could line up private money from other personal investors, right? Somebody that's sitting on a retirement account, someone that's sitting on any kind of, money, and they want their money to work for them instead of keeping it in a checking account or a saving account, getting them, what, a quarter of a percent. I think the highest I've seen was 1%.
Like if you have a friend of yours who's a captain of flights, okay, guys, they have 100 million they're sitting on. You can call them, okay? Like I have a friend, his name is Yasser Hatab. He fly these freaking big planes. Every time I'm trying to buy a property, I just text Yasser. Yasser, come on, bro. Guys, that's private money, pure relationships. The key there is private.
I love it.
That will always be your cheapest funding, right, Yasser?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the fun. With hard money, you have to pay it monthly. You have to pay your fees monthly, and that's one of the 8 entry fees is holding costs. You got to include that into the holding costs as well. Mm-hmm. But then you also have private money where you could actually pay the money at the end when you actually flip the property. That's traditional, right?
Right.
But then you have the creative way of doing it, which is, I think, our favorite. Depending on who you ask, 100%. Which is novation, right? Novation agreements. Yeah. That's where you actually come in, and Mamadou, you want to explain that one?
Yeah. So on the creative side, guys, is, hey, I don't want to go to a hard money lender because hard money is expensive. You got to show your credit. On average, they charge you between 12 to 15%, depending on your experience. Experience plays a key. The other thing is private money is pure relationship, is whatever you negotiate, like Yasser just said. So if I know Yasser is my friend. I know what kind of investor he is, but also because he's my friend, I can negotiate some terms that I cannot negotiate with a hard money lender, because hard money lenders are regulated, right? They have rules already in place. You can't negotiate it, right? But with Yasser, I can negotiate anything. If Yasser decide, hey, every time I come to Atlanta, if I lend you money, you have to take me to go eat some, chip gem. That's some African food for you guys.
Some halal food or something.
Right? Then I have to do it, right? Now, when it comes to novations, it's actually novations and subtels. This is when creative finance comes into play. This is how I did my first fix and flip. I found a lady that had a property, and the property was worth on the market after you fix it up and sell it is worth around like $340. Okay. And she owed on her mortgage. She inherited this property from her late husband who passed away. And she owed on the mortgage like $268,000 on the mortgage. And every single cash buyer was offering this lady around like $180,000 all cash. So I came in, the property needed about $70,000 in terms of renovations. So I came in and I told the lady, listen, if you're open to leave this $268,000 in place on your husband's name, and I will take over the monthly payments, I'll be fully responsible for making those payments, right? And I'll give you $5,000 in your pockets for moving expense and everything else. And then we transfer deed and title. So I own the property, but the loan stays on your husband's name. This is called buying a property subject to. Then I'll give you that full $268,000. Actually a little bit more, because I gave her $5,000 in her pockets, right? Whatever that number is, you guys do the math. And she was like, what? Yeah, I'm going to do that. The reason I can pay you more is because you leave in the loan in place. So I don't have to go to Chase, Bank of America, or a hard money lender to qualify. So I don't have to show my credit. I don't have to show my pay stubs, none of that, right? So I'm just leveraging the debt that your husband already have in place, which was a VA loan, super great loan. So I don't have things like points, right? All those crap. You guys know how that goes. And then my monthly payment is way lower than hard money. If I took hard money, my monthly payment would have skyrocketed, right? And also, I don't have the anxiety of the 7 months or 6 months, whatever. Let's say you go to a hard money lender, you take a fix and flip loan. Typically is what, yes, or maximum 1 year?
It's typically one year with renew, but every time you renew for, let's say, every 3 months, you have to pay a penalty.
Boom.
Right.
So with the lady here, her husband still had about maybe 15 years on that loan. So because I took over that 15-year loan, let's say my project renovation went bad. Well, I had 15 years to figure it out. Okay. But with a hard money lender, you don't. You see the difference? So that's a huge value. So you can pay more. You can pay the sellers more. And also is way fast. You can buy the properties way faster. And then you can also spend a little bit more in your renovation because you're saving on all these other costs, which is the points, all of that. Now, this was a subtail. A subtail is I bought it subject to by leaving that loan in place on her husband's name, but I closed on the property. I closed on it. So I took over deed and title because that gives me a little bit more control to where if I spend the money on this house, I have control to sell it or keep it. Now, the novation, I'm going to let Yasser explain the novation, but the novation is a little bit more, to me personally, advanced. If you're a newbie, you don't know what you're doing, I don't advise it. And the reason being is because you don't have a lot of control. So you want to make sure you know how to protect yourself, because you're essentially renovating a property that you don't own, meaning you're not on deed and you're not on the deed and title. But I love this strategy. I've done it, but I've done it with experience. But I've also seen newbies lose money, doing that. Like my cousin Yasser, he did that, and the seller at the end of the renovation was like, "No, now I want to keep my house." Like, whoa, what?
Whoa, yeah. So that's before I get into it, I just want to let you guys know that novation works when you don't have a time crunch,
Boom.
like a lender that's about to foreclose on the property. Okay, so when you are considering novation for pre-foreclosure examples, one of the things you want to look at is the property going to be auctioned off during the time that you think it's going to be renovated? If it is, scratch novation off the table. Okay, I have to say that because I've had a situation with a friend of mine in your neck of the woods, bro, where there was a auction that was happening. They didn't know that the auction was right around the corner. Part of the due diligence of checking for a novation is to see the auction. They missed that step of their checklist, which is a very critical step. They were in the middle of the project, renovating it, and a new owner came up to the property saying, "Hey, I own the new property." And they were like 15,000 into the property already.
Damn.
Okay. So that's something, and I'm not trying to scare anyone from novations. It's just novations is all about time. Okay. Thanks for the thumbs up, bro. I love it. So with novation, it's as simple as this. All right. In layman's terms, I like to simplify stuff. And this is actually how I tell people all the time. What if I'm able to come in? All right. Obviously, your property is worth X amount. Okay. If I was to come in with a cash offer, it would be lowball just like everybody else. All right. And it doesn't make sense. So one of the best things that I could do for you, all right, what if I'm able to come in and renovate the property on your behalf? I'll bring in the capital for it, and we list it on the market. And then whatever it sells for, you get a portion as long as I recoup my initial investment, which is the renovation cost. Okay. Once I recoup my initial investment, we can split the money a certain percentage. And this is the best thing about novation. Everything's negotiable. Okay. So I've had some sellers that want to do 70-30 split. Some want 50-50. Some want a flat amount. This is where the negotiations comes in. As long as, and you have to make this very clear, as long as I recoup my initial investment in the property, right? However, word to the wise, novation, you do not own the property. Okay. You are not on title. Not you, not your company, not your mother. Nobody is on title except for the seller. Okay. Another thing too with novation is the seller going to be living in the property while you're doing a renovation, or are they going to move? My advice, move. Have a move. There's a lot of sellers that, I want to stay in the property in one room, and no, don't do that. All right. That's not going to work. All right. And then we usually frame it when we're pitching novation, and we have a seller that wants to push back on that and say they want to live in I don't have another place to live or whatever. We usually say, hey, listen, it's not even for anything besides comfort and safety. Okay. With renovations, a lot of work is being done. There's a lot of safety hazards that could affect you from staying there. Okay. Plus, a lot of contractors won't work when someone is living in the property because of their liability insurance. Right. So, now you're making my job hard. I'm trying to solve this problem for you. So novation is very tricky. It's advanced. However, it's so lucrative because you could really sell the property for a lot higher than what its as-is value is. And 2 sessions ago, we talked about as-is value versus ARV, after repair value. So that's what novation is. You're coming in, you're working on the property, and you're bringing in just the capital to work on the property, the actual renovation costs, right? And then the seller signs, certain documents with you, and then there's no closing, by the way. There's no closing. The only closing is when you come to sell the property
Right.
on retail side,
Right.
right? Now, whether you list it, if you're a realtor, you save the money on on listing it too. So that's the cool part about it.
Yeah.
So subsale and renovation are the creative side of fix and flip. And then you have the traditional side, which is using other people's capital, whether it's a bank or private capital. Okay.
Right.
That's fix and flip. Anything else that we missed, bro? On fix and flip?
No, that's really it. Is either cash. When we say cash, if you're Bill Gates' son, obviously you have the cash, or you take hard money, whatever. But as long as you buy it outright, is a cash transaction. Okay.
Right.
Or the creative that we just explained is a subtel or the innovation. Okay. Some people call it different. Guys, there's a bunch of gurus online that make up freaking names that means the same thing. There is some people call innovation something else. Okay. You can do innovations even on properties that you don't renovate, by the way. Like you can sell a property as is listed on the market, blah, doesn't matter. But most of you guys that is going to watch us are actually, you're in a phase where you're actually going to wholesale. So remember, you can negotiate these contracts, both the subtel and the innovation. You can negotiate the terms, put them under contract, and wholesale it to an actual buyer. So you don't have to be the one that deal with the property, renovate it, do anything. So you can, but you have to learn how to negotiate these things. And then once you put it on the contract, then you wholesale it. You can wholesale anything, guys. You can wholesale these ships right behind me, by the way. Just so you guys know, I know the frame look weird. This is how I got the office, but the saying at the bottom is really nice. It says the secret of business is to know something that nobody else knows.
Ooh,
so if you look at the frame with all the ship, you see the one facing this way, it tells you something. Okay, so it's not but I'm gonna change it. We just got this building, I haven't yet decorated other than Muhammad Ali that is hanging out right here, so I can remember to knock out my enemies every single day.
I love it. I love
but
it.
yeah, no, that's it. Yeah, so we don't have to add anything on that one. But guys, remember, anything we tell you here, you can wholesale it. Don't overthink it, okay? And if you want to, oh yeah, but how do I know if my buyer is gonna buy it? Listen, if Yasser is my buyer, I am not guessing what Yasser needs. I'm gonna call Yasser and say, hey Yasser, if I negotiate a fix and flip for you, whether it be a cash, innovation, or subtel, what is your profit margins you're looking for? If Yasser tells me 12%, guess what? I'm only sending Yasser deals where he can make a 12% profit. Okay? Don't try to guess it. Reach out to your buyer, find out what's the buy box. Most of you, the problem is you don't know how to build relationships and approach people with value, so nobody want to talk to you. So learn how to call these buyers. Every single market, all you need is 4 to 5 buyers by their first name. I'm talking about legit buyers. I'm not talking about wholesalers that pretend to be buyers on Facebook. I'm talking about legit buyers that has money to buy properties, or they actually have experience, so they have hard money lenders that they work with so they can buy fast because they already have experience. You call them, get to know them, ask them their buybacks. Hey, what is the profit margins you're looking for when you're buying a fix and flip? What kind of properties do you like? Is it 2 beds? Is it 3 bath? Like once you have that and you call, and guess what? It's so easy for you to pitch it to your sellers because you know exactly what your buyer needs and wants. So you can pitch it. Okay.
I love it. I love it. Yeah. This is why I laugh about, when someone comes up to me and they're like, I got a buyer's list of 4,000 buyers. I'm like, congratulations. I got 4. No you got me beat by 3,000 and change. Right. So, because I don't, it's about the quality. It's not about the quantity, right? It's about the relationships, with the buyers. That's what makes you more confident as a wholesaler too, right? Knowing what your buyer wants. 100%. And then you just reverse engineer it. You get the buyer, then you get the deal. Boom. You're done, Yep. So the other thing that, besides fix and flips is buy and holds, right? Buy and holds this is a myriad of like different strategies, but it falls under the bucket of buy and hold, the umbrella of buy and hold. Obviously, we talked last 2 weeks ago about 2 videos ago about the normal buy and hold that everyone does, which is long-term rentals, right? We're looking at, how much a property would work if we were to rent it out. Okay. Then you have, remember this, all right? If I was to teach you guys one thing, the more active you are in a buy and hold, the more money you make. Okay. So what the hell does that mean? Very good question. Okay. If I'm a regular traditional landlord, buying properties to rent them out to long-term rental for a year. That doesn't really require that much effort on my part every month or every week, right? As long as I qualified a good tenant, get them in there, my income is going to be the the market rent, pretty much. Okay. And whatever the market sets is whatever I'm going to be doing, pretty much. However, if I'm going to be doing more active work, meaning that the shorter term, let's say 6 months or 3 months at a time, now we're getting into the realm of what? Midterm rentals. Okay. Midterm rentals has a whole bunch of people involved, a whole bunch of, more requirements, more work involved, because you have more turnover in the 3-month period or 6-month period or even 1-month period sometimes, right? And there are people out there that are good matches for midterm rentals, but because you're involved more, you could charge more. Okay. And that's what midterm rentals are, kind of the middle ground there. Then you have short-term rentals, obviously, which is Airbnb, VRBO, all the vacation stuff, right? Stuff that's like less than a month, essentially. All right. Now, because you have way more turnover, now your income is doubled sometimes or even tripled. I've seen tripled and quadrupled. Okay. Why? Because it's higher risk, but it's also higher reward. So if you got higher risk, higher reward, higher activity. And that's literally how this works with rentals. Okay. So if you're tired of being a landlord, consider midterm rentals. However, there are some caveats, right?
Cry.
You caught my drift on that one. I love it.
Yeah.
So you want to explain what the things to look out for on each one, pretty much?
Yeah, I think, most of this audience, they're going to try to wholesale, right? So the few things I want to clarify. Number one, if you're just starting out, stay away from fix and flips, okay? You are guaranteed to lose money on your first fix and flip if you're doing it with somebody without someone with experience. That's one. Secondly, if you've never wholesaled a property, meaning from A to Z, like you just started, you don't have the money. If you have the money, by the way, it's way easier to make mistakes when you have money than when you don't have money.
Oh, say that
when you
again,
have
bro.
money, you have money to lose.
Yep.
When you don't have money, you have nothing to lose. You cannot F up too much if you don't have money. What does that mean? That means if I'm just starting out, let me take me when I started. When I started, no money. The only thing I had was time, and I'm blessed for that. That's a blessing, just so you guys know. Because I don't have the money and I have the time, I need to learn how does it look, a real estate transaction from A to Z, the flow. How do you learn that? Is through wholesaling. When you're wholesaling, you're learning marketing and sales, how to hunt for deals. You hunt for the deal, good deals, and then you put them under contract. That's negotiations. That's where the sales comes into play. And then you sell it to an end buyer who's going to take that property and flip it. Forget about the flipping for now. But when you go to the closing table, now you can have the title company because you're going to be on that HUD. The HUD is the receipt that the buyer receives that says, hey, this is your property now, right? You as the wholesaler, you can now read that HUD, even though you just wholesaled it, you can read the HUD and see what are the fees involved when you're buying the property? How much does the title company charge? By the way, that HUD, they send it to you on your first deal. So you have access to it. So you can see how much the buyer spent on fees, including the money the buyer paid you. And once you understand A to Z, how to take a property from, hey, I found the homeowner, was motivated. How many times did I have to follow up? I got the contract. What are the headaches that I dealt with to get the seller to sign? Then the headaches to get the title company to close. Then the headaches to get the buyer to fund the deal. Then the headaches on the delays. The title company said you were going to close on the 6th, but you ended up closing 1 month later, and you were really counting on that check to pay your mortgage. And the check that, trust me, you want to go through that whole process. That's $1 million lesson right there. Now you know how a transaction in the real estate works from A to Z. And then if you read the HUD, you get to study the headaches on the buyer side. You step on the buyer's shoes. Because guess what? Your goal is to become that person. That's your goal. When you're wholesaling, you're piling up capital to become ultimately the investor. Well, guess what? Your first deal, take the HUD and study it, okay? If right out the gate, you've never wholesaled the deal, You've never managed a property before. You don't have any real estate background. You don't have any sales background. Your dad was not a real estate investor. And just because you have good credit and access to funding, you decide to flip. This is where you file bankruptcy really quick, because you don't know nothing. You don't know material cost. You don't know renovation costs. You don't know what to look out for. You don't know what a HUD look like. You don't know if the title company is screwing you of $10,000 in fees. You have no idea, right? On your first wholesale deal, you can literally, you see, most of, like, use logic. Let's say, Yasser, let's say I wholesaled you my first deal, okay? And I made $10,000. And I come to you, Yasser, and I say, mind you, I brought you something valuable, right, Yasser? If you bought it from me and the deal is good, and I made $10,000, you still got a good product, so we have a relationship now. So let's say at the closing table, I go, Yasser, listen, I'm new. Okay, I'm new. This is my first deal. And ultimately, I would love to be you in 1 year. Would you mind, this property, you're going to fix and flip it, right? Yes. Yasser, would you mind if I come on the project and you teach me what to look out for? Can I talk to the GC and ask them questions? Blah, blah, blah. Let's say you go, no. Okay, Yasser, can I get a cut? Can I give you back $1,000 so I'm only making $9,000, and then you allow me to come to your project and learn? Like something, okay? Guess what? Not only I wholesaled it, now I know what a transaction look like. I've learned the marketing, I've learned the negotiations, all that fun stuff. Now also Yasser as a buyer will allow me to go walk this project while he's going through the renovation. I can talk to his GC. I can see the headaches he's dealing with. I can see the delays, all that fun stuff. Now on your second, do this 3 times. On your first 3 wholesale deals, do this. I promise you on your 4th deal, you will be ready to flip your own property, and you would have learned on other people's money. I would have learned all the mistakes to avoid on Yasser's money. He's spending the money on his flip. He's dealing with the headaches. The GC is making him angry. He's waking up like, fuck, this guy didn't show up today. And I'm seeing all of that. But who would allow you to do that? Only if you approach them with value. That's how I did it on my first flip. Okay? Most of you guys, what you do is, oh, I have good credit. I've been watching HGTV. Let me start by flipping. And you think this is all Rambos and freaking, I don't even know what the saying is, but like, completely dumb, guys. Don't do this. Stick to the wholesaling. Even if you have the money, even if you have the $100,000 right now in your account, if you don't have the experience, don't start with fix and flips. Even buy and holds, I don't advise you. If you've never wholesaled a deal, I 100% agree with, I forgot who I heard say this. I think it's Brand Daniels. He said he don't advise any newbie to buy their first rental, even if they have the money and the credit, if they don't have the experience in the wholesaling first. Why? Because remember, when you go to wholesale, and I'm sorry, Yasser, I'm going on a rant on this, but I see a lot of newbies make this mistake. Even if you have the $100,000, guess what? You see that list when you start wholesaling. They say, what do they say? They say go after motivated sellers. What are motivated sellers? Sellers that are going through some challenges, whatever the challenge may be. Now, oftentimes they tell you reach out to the tired landlords. What is a tired landlord? A tired landlord is a landlord that have regular rentals where he's making $200 a month, which is not enough at all. And then he's dealing with toilet leaks, headaches, with the tenants not paying on time, always delays, water heater going off, his yearly cash flow out of the window. That's where your tired landlords list come from. And you don't have no experience at all. You've never managed a property. You don't know what dealing with tenants look like. And right out the gate, just because you have $100,000 in your bank account, you decide I'm going to buy a rental. You're an idiot. Don't do it. Don't listen to all these gurus or listen to SGTV. Don't do it. Get the experience first. Keep your $100,000. Learn the hard way to wholesale. Take your $100,000, maybe be a private lender and let that money grow by itself, okay, on other people's deals. And you focus on learning the flow of a deal, how to wholesale, see all the headaches, blah, blah. After your 3rd deal, now you're potentially ready to have your first rental or your first fix and flip. All right, guys, don't try to walk before you can crawl.
Love it. Love it. Wow, bro. You are preaching, my guy. I could tell you this, you know, seeing a lot of people go and fall flat on their face. I've seen it happen too many times with people that I know and even people that I don't know. How many times they go into your DM and they're like, hey, help me out. Help me out. I'm stuck. I'm like $150,000 under. Yep. And you're like, whoa, how did you get there? And then they start telling you, And it's like, you're absolutely right. When it comes to, being a landlord, this is why partnering up with people like us is very important, because I would rather take 50% of something than lose 100% of something else.
I know, right?
You see what I mean? Like, a lot of people get into this and they're like, oh, I know how to do it. I watched it on TV or YouTube or whatever, and that's great. But learning one thing is different than, what's happening out there right now.
I know.
Getting something on the contract, by the way, I have to point this out too. It's not just getting something on the contract and then wholesaling it and hope, bye-bye. If you're doing that, you're not learning the business. Okay. I've seen a lot of wholesalers do this, especially pre-foreclosure wholesalers, where they're like, I offer it to a lot of people. I'm like, hey, you want to see what I'm doing to stop the foreclosure? No, I just want my money. I'm like, what? Bro, like, you don't want to learn the business? No, I just want my money. Okay. Well, say less, my guy, So that's something that, like, you want to, if you're breathing, you're learning, right? Always learn. Even 22 years into the business, I'm still freaking learning. And I always want to learn something new. All right. Even if it's something that I thought I knew, I could always learn something better or a better way to do it. Okay. Mamadou, you started a couple years ago, right? But I'm still learning a lot of stuff from you, from what you do, because you operate a little bit different than what I do. And that's okay. There's no right or wrong answer. It's, you always want to learn from people. But when you get something on the contract, it is inevitable when something happens up until close of escrow.
Right.
And then even after close of escrow, it's when something happens during that renovation. Okay. A lot of people get into it. They I see these budgets, these renovation budgets, and they put, 15, 10%, contingency, right? Contingency. Like, if something happens, I'm like, no. I got to deal with a lot of students like this. They're like, oh, if something happens, I got 10% budget. No. It's when something happens during the renovation, okay? Because you're going to open up a wall, you're going to experience some stuff. So why would you not want to learn with someone that already knows how to mitigate that situation, like mold?
It's guaranteed to happen.
Like, you open up a wall and you see a lot of mold. Now you have to get loan mitigation and you got to pay a couple extra thousand more, right? Why don't you learn by working with someone so that they already know how to help you work through that process instead of you trying to reinvent the wheel. Okay. So that's what it comes down to. So keep that in mind. It's, always anticipate things are going to happen. All right. Things will happen. It's not if things, so even with rentals, man, I'm telling you right now, going through an eviction right now, personally, and it's not fun. It is not a fun situation. Mamadou, you had one recently where they threw the stuff on the lawn, right? With yours?
No, I have another one. You
have another one? Oh.
Yeah. That one was the seller. Is the seller dealing with the tenants? I'm just buying it. But the other one is like my property.
It's your own. Yeah. See, that's what I mean. Like, even knowing how to work with an eviction, it's not easy. There's certain laws that you have to abide by, certain things that you have to do to make an eviction stick, pretty much.
And by the way, the mortgage company don't care if your tenants don't pay. The mortgage still do.
Doesn't matter. And when he says mortgage, it's not just the bank, but the lender themselves, right? Especially if it's like a private lender or even hard money.
Because what happens with a lot of newbies, yes, sir, is they learn how to buy properties. I don't care if it's creative. Let's say using a wrap to get their first rental, not rental, but cash flowing property, right? They decide to just go all in and then do that. The problem is they've never stacked cash through wholesaling or whatever other means. And then a tenant or a wrap buyer stop paying for 3 months. And now they have to get foreclosed on because they don't have the cash to keep up with the mortgage. That's why I'm bringing that up. So if you haven't stacked cash, stay away from keeping properties. It comes with a responsibility. It's not all sexy and trust me.
I love that evil laugh at the end there. So yeah, with that being said, guys, we're going to wrap it up here. I hope you guys got some value from this.
Oh, they got value, bro. We don't hope.
Oh, absolutely.
I know you got value.
Absolutely, bro. It's like gems day in and day out with us. Every time we collaborate, man, always good things happen. Amazing things happen. We've been getting a lot of good feedback also from you guys. Let us know what you guys want us to cover, especially with pre-foreclosure stuff, because, again, I've been doing this for a long time. I got into foreclosures in 2008 and I've been really enjoying it. Solving a lot of problems. Remember, the bigger the problem, the more the income. Okay. Because you're providing a solution that other people are not even able to do and provide, including realtors, lenders, attorneys, and other people, right? So sometimes you want to be able to realize that not everything is going to come perfect, right? You're going to have to figure out a creative way, and use your mind and your resources and your energy and your drive to solve that problem. You solve that problem, you get a bigger paycheck, and that's what it comes down to. All right. Well, with that being said, guys, I appreciate you guys. Mamadou, you got some words for these fine folks?
Oh, guys, listen. You guys might have to watch this twice, but take notes. That's number one. Number two, stay out of your own way. What I mean by that is only a pregnant woman that gave birth can tell you what it feels like to get pregnant. So everything we talked about here is by experience. I'm not telling you anything I haven't been through. I've sold rentals because I've been through those same headaches. Why? Because I've listened to those gurus that were telling you do the birds, do the this, do the that right out the gate when you haven't even had stack cash yet. So the wisest person on earth is the person that learned through other people's mistakes, not their own mistakes. So if you see somebody that have been through something and they tell you avoid it, or you have proximity with somebody, like, learn from their mistakes, not your own. You don't have to do it. If I've been through the mistake and I had to sell 3 rentals because I found out it sucks, and I became a tired landlord, even though I bought it from a tired landlord, and I'm telling you don't do it, and you sit there, I'm just gonna do it. You're an idiot. I'm telling you that right now. Get offended if you want to. Learn from other people's experiences. You don't have to. It's almost like, okay, I know certain things is a waste of time, and my child goes and, oh no, I want to learn by my own experience. Fuck no, you're not gonna learn with my experience. I've already made the mistake. You don't have to. Okay. Right. So it's just, I know there is a saying, you learn through experience. That's not true. You learn through other people's experience. Other people's experience are the best teacher. So sometimes obviously you're going to make your own mistakes, but if there is mistakes you can avoid by not putting arrogant in, because some people, they just don't listen by pure arrogance.
Well, it's pride. It's pride and ego as well.
So that's all I got to say, guys. So make sure you go and check I think we did 3 episodes prior to show you guys how to comp and all of that, or maybe 2. I'm not really sure, but go back and check them out. Reach out to us. You can get hold of me on any social media platform at Real Estate Diallo on IG. And until next time, guys, stay bold and be bold. That's all I got to say.
Adios. Peace.
Adios.